Hi everyone, BritSimon here. So I want to talk to you today about another very important choice that you have to make on the DV 2026 entry form. It's a critical choice because if you choose the wrong choice here, it can easily get you disqualified. Excuse me, let me just kill this. It can get you disqualified very, very quickly. What I'm talking about is your marital status. It should be a very, very simple question, but for various reasons, which I'll talk about in a moment, people make the wrong choices on marital status when they're entering the lottery, and it's a very sad thing because it will generally result, normally it will result in disqualification. I'll tell you precisely when it is 100% certain that you will be disqualified, as opposed to there's a possibility and probably a large risk that you will be disqualified, right? So let me show you here the form that has the marital status choices. Where are we? Here we go. Let me show you this. So when you're doing the DV lottery entry form, you will see a set of choices similar to this, right? These are the choices: unmarried, married and my spouse is not a US citizen or US lawful permanent resident, married and my spouse is a US citizen or lawful permanent resident, divorced, widowed, or legally separated, right? Now, for some reason, there are people out there, I think YouTubers or other advisors, I don't know, who put into people's heads some bullshit that says usually one of two things, and I've heard both ways. The suggestion is sometimes, hey, single people are chosen more than married people, or other people say married people are selected more often than single people. Neither one of those points is true. Neither one is true. The selection process is entirely random. The fact that X% of people are single or X% of people are married or whatever is entirely by chance. Okay, it's actually exactly in proportion to the entries from that country, but somehow the rumors got started that the choice of marital status would affect your chance of selection, and it is absolutely 100% quite certainly not true. Okay, the selection process is entirely random. So if the selection process is entirely random, then what harm is it in telling the truth? Okay, right? Why would you lie on this question? I honestly, I don't understand it, but still, every year we have people who thought they were being clever, and for whatever reason, they've lied on this particular choice, and it will cost them. It will cost them big. It will cost them all of their chance. So let's go through and just talk about the choices you can make on this particular question. What is your current marital status? Current meaning on the day that you are sitting there entering this form. Now, on that day, are you unmarried? And unmarried means you were not married before, because if you were married before, you need to explain why you're not married now, right? Which is one of the other choices here. So basically, if you're single, you've never been married, then you can choose unmarried. But please don't choose unmarried if actually you're married already, right? So unmarried is single. That's pretty obvious. But just please be sure that that is your true marital status. The next choice that is quite common is married and my spouse is not a US citizen or lawful permanent resident. That's the normal choice for anyone that is married. If you are legally married, you should be choosing that selection. Now, marriage is a bit confusing in some countries. There are some sort of unusual situations, which I'll talk about in a few moments. But I'm talking for most people, the majority of people, it's very simple to say whether you're married or not. And if you're married to someone who is not a US citizen or an LPR, then the second choice is for you. Okay. And if you choose the second choice, married, and my spouse is not a US citizen or LPR, then you will be expected to add your spouse and a photo of your spouse in your entry. Okay. Now, if you don't have a photo of your spouse, but you are married, that is not an excuse to choose unmarried, so that you don't have to add the photo. There is absolutely no exception to that rule. If you are married, you must include the photo of your spouse. No exceptions, absolutely no excuses. That's it. It doesn't matter whether you're currently living apart. It doesn't matter whether your husband, is in Africa and you're in America or whatever. It doesn't matter if your phone battery run out. There is absolutely no excuse for you to say that you are single or unmarried when in fact you are married. And I can tell you 100% of the time, people that are found to be lying about their marital status in that way, saying they are single or unmarried when in fact they're married, 100% of the time those people are disqualified, 100% of the time. Okay, so don't make that mistake. The next choice, why is it there? Well, you can be married to a US citizen or LPR, and in that scenario, you don't have to add your spouse's photo or their details, and so that's a slight difference in the way that the form is entered. Again, for goodness sake, don't choose that option if you think that's a way around, having to provide the photo or something. Don't do that. In all cases, just tell the truth, right? Okay, divorced. Divorce means you have been through a legal divorce process after a legal marriage process, okay? And you are going to have to show paperwork for both of those things. You're going to have to show that you were married, and you're going to have to show that that marriage was terminated legally through a legal termination or divorce process that is legal in your country, okay? So again, that should be very, very clear. There's no need to make a mistake there. Widowed is where your spouse died, and in that situation, you're expected to show your marriage certificate and the death certificate of your spouse, and the death certificate proving that your spouse is obviously not around to be on the form, right? So the divorced and widowed choices there, again, allow you to do the entry without submitting the photo or details of your spouse, right? The same is also true for the last option, legally separated, but this one trips up a lot of people for some reason. They see the word separated and they say, yeah, I'm separated from my spouse. I'm living in this house and she's in the next city. We're separated. Or, we had an argument last week and maybe we'll get back together again, but we're not together this week. And so we're separated. And that would be so much nicer to not have to go and take her photo, right? Or, she's in a different country. I'm working here. We're separated. No, all of that is bullshit. None of that is legally separated, because legal separation, as it explains here in clear terms, is when you've been through a court process, a legal process through a court of law that has agreed that the two of you are going through marriage difficulties and you're in a legal separation process, and you have achieved legal separation. Okay, and so the majority of you by far will not. I mean, that's a very rare status, even in countries where legal separation is possible. And there are plenty of countries where that status, legal separation, is not even technically possible. Okay, so don't choose that option. It's, unless you are 100% certain that that is the truth, don't choose the option. Now, in all cases where you choose an option that allows you to not add your spouse when you actually have an eligible spouse, in all cases, that will result in disqualification if you choose badly, right? If you choose unmarried, or if you choose divorced, widowed, legally separated, or married and my spouse is a US citizen, in all of those, if you cannot prove that status, then it means that you actually were probably married, and you, for whatever reason, didn't want to add your spouse onto the entry form, but should have done so. And in that case, you will be disqualified. The only way that you can make a mistake here and not be disqualified in some number of cases is if you are if you claim to be married when actually you're not legally married. That can sometimes be forgiven, but I don't suggest it as an option. I would suggest that if you're at all unsure, you choose unmarried. So let's talk about why you might be unsure. You may be in a country where there's certain types of customary marriages or common law marriages, right? And it doesn't have to be, I mean, common law marriage, I think, is an option in Australia, for example. So there are first world as well as third world countries that have various types of marriage options or relationship options which are not recognized by the United States of America in their immigration processes. And so you need to be very careful that you understand the legal status of the marriage that you're claiming. So in the case of common law marriages and similar situations where two people come together and they basically stay together, and perhaps I think it's called we come, we stay in some countries. You know, you're living together for as long as you live together, and you're considered a family unit by everybody. But if the laws of your country don't give you the full legal status of marriage, then you must not use that option and pretend that it's marriage, right? So if you're at all unsure, you can more safely say you're unmarried, right? It's much better to say you're unmarried than to try and claim marriage that actually doesn't really exist. Okay, and so and you may be, for example, in a country where customary marriage is recognized, but recent changes have happened that mean that that marriage should then be registered as a legal marriage. And in those countries, unless you've been through that second step, then you're actually not married yet, okay, from a legal point of view, and certainly from the United States point of view. All right, so be cautious about your marital status. It is another very, very simple and common way to get disqualified from the DV lottery, okay? So I'm really hoping that this is sunk in, and I'm hoping to have less people being disqualified in DV 2026 because more people will have seen this information and will make the right choices. Okay, so please make a smart choice on this particular choice on this question. It's critically important. The mistakes can result in disqualification, and it's basically impossible to come back from those disqualifications. There is no appeal process in this process. There's no formal appeal process, right? So once you've been disqualified, that's it. You're done, and you're done for that year. And you know, you may never ever get selected again. So be careful. All right, everybody. Just a quick note about the channel. Firstly, please give me a thumbs up on this video if you can. Secondly, please do subscribe to my channel. Make sure you know what videos are coming up. It's extremely important. Between now in the entry period and the selection results, you will see me publish a whole host of videos on various topics that explain how the process will work, when the results will be announced, how the draw happens, how the selection works, and so on, as well as some other topics that will be interesting to you as a new immigrant in the USA. So please do subscribe to the channel to get all of that good information. Support the channel so that the channel itself can get more information out to more people. I want to make sure the best information gets out into the community to make sure people are not losing their chance just for silly reasons. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you very much for listening in. Bye-bye now.